What have I learned from two failed suicide attempts? Grim, I know. But I promise it's not so grim in retrospect, right? So it's 2023. I'm 33 or 34 years old. I don't know, guess. Two failed suicide attempts later, and I have to ask myself, what have I learned? And no, it's not that I'm a failure. Although that was the first instinct, right? After the first one. Am I right? So this is part of a bigger project, reflecting on what was there to learn, if anything, really. But yeah, I'm just gonna post this in bits and pieces while I'm working on um, the bigger project, which might end up being in the form of a short film. I hope that's the plan. So with this video, I'm going to start with two journal entries that I wrote soon after my first failed attempt. Um, yeah, I just, like was going through the journal very recently, and it was quite striking the wisdom that was in it. I mean, I went through it, so I know, but it was just like, um, I don't know, I guess it just feels like I was wiser than I gave myself credit for at the time. And the second entry um, is quite magical, sort of. I mean, it sounds grim as fuck, I'll be honest. But you'll see in retrospect, it I feel like it was a catalyst. It was a very important point in my recovery and in the start of a new journey. Oh wow, I had many dreams last night or this morning. I'm so glad I finally fell asleep. They started off very lucid, intense, and vivid, and my body got very excited. I unfortunately had to keep waking up because I felt my body overheating, my breathing too heavy and loud, which made me feel very uncomfortable and self conscious because there are people basically watching me sleep. I remember humping and grinding someone in the dream and could feel that my body was physically acting out these actions. What? I had to stop myself. The awesome thing is that I was fully aware in these dreams, which was unusual. So I could make them turn out however I wanted them to. Like when we, or me, um, like when we, which was me and a whole lot of other people who happened to be my friends offline and online, we were running about picture perfect, laughing, smiling, high as kites, feeling young, beautiful, free to go wild if we wanted. I could decide what everyone was wearing, the faces I was seeing, where we were going, and what we would do at the speed of thought. When things would turn sour, like when police flew down on us raiding our magic stash, instead of letting the dream turn completely bad, I could instantly come up with a solution, turn it back into a pleasant dream. Oh, how liberating lucid dreaming is. I mean, I've tried to lucid dream before and failed, but this time it was easier, it was effortless. The mind bending experiences I've had this week, slipping in and out of consciousness, dying, made me realize the power I could have over dreams. Because these last dreams, I was easily I was easily taken by dreams before. I would just go with the flow, not fully aware I was dreaming. And as much as this can be okay and wonderful, even, it gets dangerous when your dreams start taking a turn for the worse and you can't stop it. Like the dreams I had, and I think this one was when I had lost consciousness. This particular dream that where I didn't have control. The dream was lovely. It didn't even feel like a dream. It just felt like another day. I had gone to a beautiful home on a bushy plot and we, not sure who the others um, were having a wonderful time. Looking forward to the time we were gonna spend there. When I am not aware I'm dreaming, I tend to be less aware of my surroundings and the details needed to identify certain aspects of the dream. I end up having limited memory of the entire dream, just bits and pieces that stood out. At some point, I was sitting on, oh, so at some point, I was sitting or standing by the patio, began to wonder how I got there, and last thing I remembered was being in hospital in a really bad state. I had violent convulsions and was in pain, crying. I remember the doctors or nurses trying to get me to calm my shit, quite literally. The one lady said, "Hey, stop with your nonsense." I remember thinking something in the lines of, "What the hell? What the fuck?" while sobbing in pain. But a part of me felt an understanding. I realized or remembered that, hey, I'm the one who caused this pain. I ate that poison. I knew it was gonna be unpleasant. I expected some agony. Not that I wanted the pain, but that I knew it was to be expected. As much as I hated the idea of dying through that much physical pain, subconsciously I've been conjuring up pain as a phenomenon, physical pain. One can go through immense pain, and if one chooses to transcend it to, I thought, if anything, since I fail with emotional pain, okay, since I fail with emotional pain, physical pain should be easily managed. I've inflicted this kind of pain on self before, and I seemed to have way better luck in controlling my threshold and going beyond that pain, all the way to euphoria. But then again, this was cutting and slitting my wrists with blades, which I suppose isn't really that gruesome in comparison to what I'm going through right now. Um, in comparison to what I was going through. I don't know. Anyway, I'd researched Aldicarb. I cringed at every symptom on the list that I read. Stomach cramps, diarrhea, although I must confess that I always thought diarrhea wasn't such a bad thing to go through. Getting stuff out is always better than keeping it in. For example, constipation is way worse. Convulsions, vomiting, cardiac arrest. then death were the symptoms. Um, Poisoning seemed like a messy way to go out. Thus, I always tried to avoid that route. I wanted ideally to sleep and never wake up, which is why I chucked a whole lot of sleeping pills, hoping to sleep through it all. But for some reason, I didn't fall asleep. I couldn't fall asleep. So many pills, no sleep for several hours. I kept thinking that maybe the 10 pills I found in my bag when I came back from the hospital were all I needed to add in order to have fallen asleep. For some reason, I thought I had taken all the pills I had. Maybe I couldn't go to sleep because I was thinking a lot. I couldn't stop my mind from banging up and down nonstop. I can't really recall exactly what I was thinking about, except that I was wondering, when the hell am I gonna die already? Where are the convulsions? Where is the pain? When am I gonna fall asleep? What should I do? What could I do? Thinking so much, I don't even know how to do anything else. After several hours after ingesting the awful tasting cake I'd hoped would be the best tasting thing I would eat before dying, and the best thing to cover the sickening smell of the Aldi carb that I put in it. But it ended up being the lamest thing I ate before I died. I I ate it as quickly as possible, not chewing, just mashing it in my mouth and swallowing big chunks, trying not to get any of the Aldi carb on my tongue and teeth for the most part. It worked, although there were a few moments I felt it. I then went to my mother's bedroom. I thought maybe spending the last minutes, hours with my mom in the is the best thing I could do. And maybe I'll fall asleep finally, but I didn't fall asleep. Instead, I tossed and turned in the bed next to her, slowly starting to feel the pain, but hanging in there, waiting to sleep and never wake up. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and it had started to get brighter outside. At this stage, I had decided that if nothing happens, if death doesn't happen by now, then maybe I should tell my mom to take me to the hospital. Um, and I didn't want to wake her up too early and too dark. So, and deprive her of, okay. I didn't want to wake her up too early or too dark and deprive her of sleep, even though I knew telling her I have I have second thoughts about it subconsciously. Maybe I was willing to at least risk surviving. I still thought the chances of not surviving are higher. I mean, the poison had been in me for way too long, I thought. A part of me still wishes I had not survived, to be honest. I still wish I had died, even today. But I still have a part of me which is glad I still survived, that I'm still here. Yeah. Whew. Even more subtle nuances and downloads just came out of reading that now. And this is just like a genius divine plan for my journey. And I just have to give props to my higher self for orchestrating all of this. I don't have time to even unpack the impeccable detailing of my of this journey up until this moment right now while recording. So I think I'll record some extra commentary at a later stage to add to this because like something just hit me while I like it's like the exact it's like I've come full circle, full spiral, full cycle. Yeah, full cycle. So first of all, I feel like I need to give this context because like and why I feel so compelled to do this and why it has so much gravity to me. Um the thing is, so in both situations, in both events, I took the same poison, which is Aldicap. Shit, I don't know if I should mention that. I'll probably beep it out if I have a problem with that. But anyway, no, Aldicap, just look it up just for your own confirmation, because this is the part that even today, as much as I think I've figured out why things happen as they did, it still blows my mind that I survived. So the first attempt, I had a big enough dose from my research to, I don't know, to kill myself, right? And in addition to that, I ate some poisonous leaves from a particularly poisonous plant um, tree, and I took a whole bunch of sleeping pills. And those sleeping pills, I still didn't sleep. I was still awake and not really feeling any side effects for hours um, until like shortly before I was taken to the hospital. And if you just look up, like the details about the poison, I should have died like way sooner. But anyway, fine. So I survived. I ended up in ICU. And honestly, that was not my first attempt, but it was the first attempt that ended in a serious, like a critical situation in the hospital. Fine. And then the second one, which was recent, like 2nd of January this year. And that one blew my mind even more because I took twice the dose of the same poison and I didn't even end up in ICU. Even the doctor that was consulting with me afterwards didn't, she couldn't believe that I survived. And like for me, by that time, I was like, okay, I'm probably immortal. Hey, the fuck? No, I'm not. Oh God, I hope I'm not. But this takes me back to the first lesson after the first attempt, which, it just dawned on me that perhaps just as I do not remember choosing when to be born, I probably can't choose when to die, at least not consciously, you know? I mean, it is said that we choose when to be born and when to die, like we plan it all out. I still have no access to any of those memories, so I can't say for sure. But obviously, it wasn't my time. And after the first one, and me coming to that realization, I was like, okay, so now I guess suicide is off the list of possible ways, I guess. I don't know. And to be honest, eventually life got so much better. I feel like, the period after that I don't know. I truly, for the first time in like my entire life, felt happy, felt peace, felt love for myself like never before, like never even ever imagined. And I truly experienced my God self, my higher self. Even though at the time I didn't, really know how that happened. Like the healing process of all the psychological um, distress that I was in, because I had that suicide attempt was led up by over a decade of depression. Very, very, very hard, hard, hard. And so it made sense, right? But what didn't make sense when it was happening was how how it just seemed magic, like I just magically healed. But at the same time, I was like consistently, intentionally on my meds, and I truly believed that was the thing that kept me alive. I mean, it still could be, but probably not because I'm no longer on my meds now, and I'm no longer depressed. And also, the second, the previous suicide attempt came with me not being depressed at all. That didn't come from being depressed at all. That mainly came from just being over it, just feeling like I deserve better. I want to go home. I'm done with this realm. I don't deserve to be here. I'm too good for this place. And there's nothing here for me anymore. I'm done. And I guess my higher self feels I'm not done yet. And I'm still waiting for the answer. How am I not done? Talk to me, please, higher self. But yeah, so now I'm not too sure that the healing, the deep healing and love and like recovery that I had after the first one was purely because I was consistent with my meds. You know, I can't say I believe that anymore because I still went to suicide even when I wasn't depressed, when I was just fed up. But I recently found out why. And so, yes, so this whole project is going to be going through all of that. And perhaps this is why I'm still here to tell this story. I mean, I really hope this is why, so that, because that means once I'm done telling this story, I can fucking go back home. Because, yeah, Earth is not, I know, New Earth, nice, way better than old Earth, but like, really, it ain't it. I'm over it. But anyway, let me not be grim now. Let's get into the journal entries that I wrote. And these are, by the way, describing, first one is dreams, a very lucid, um, vivid dream that I had, which now I feel like was probably not a dream. I was just like in the astral plane, in another dimension. But yeah, I'll go into that. That's going to be the first one. Please tell me what your experiences have been. What have you learned from your suicide attempts? I say that like everyone has attempted suicide. But if you have, tell me what are the biggest lessons that you've learned? Let's talk about it. Also, can you please stop treating suicide like it's the worst thing ever? Because I mean, honestly, death is like heaven. Way 10 times better than this place. TBH.